You ever want to watch that new anime movie or show with someone when you're deciding what to watch together, but they don't want to watch it because it's an anime? I've been there. We want to share these great stories with people that we care about, but the closest thing we can get to it is to show them the trailer to the live action version that reviewed way worse than the original work it's based off of. So is there any hope of animation or anime, especially, being as widely accepted as live action productions? And what makes people not want to even try it out? I, myself, was once a massive movie nut. I went to film school, I did a film festival or two, I went to LA to work on reality television, and I've seen all of AFI's 100 greatest movies of all time. I was obsessed with the live action filmmaking world and what made a good movie. And the past 5 years, I have basically been exclusive to animated productions in terms of what I watch. But the thing is that just live action is the thing. We see the top grossing movies of all time, like these cinematic events, if you will, with Infinity War and Endgame, these culminations of all these star-studded casts that you could possibly imagine coming together in a big-ass blockbuster. We see Avatar, which is definitely live action. You still have the actors in there, and it's covered with fantastic visual effects, mind you. Around the world, animation will always play fiddle to live action. I think the only country, place, whatever you want to call it, that widely accepts animation, if not, they prefer animation, is Japan. Japan's highest grossing films of all time that are their own original works are basically all animated. I think there's only like 1 or 2 in their top 15 that is a live action production. But why are we talking about this now? There's 2 things that triggered this video. One is Spiderman Across the Spiderverse. Is a movie that has been reviewing phenomenally well. I have seen it. We'll get to that in a moment. But the more recent thing that triggered this is the live action trailer for probably the biggest shonen anime of all time, One Piece.
All great fighters call out their finishing moves. No, they don't.
Netflix is making a live-action adaptation of One Piece as one of the longest-running anime ever, and one that is just so full of imagination, backstories, great character designs, places to see, epic fights. It has the whole spectrum other than maybe romance. And Netflix finally put a live-action trailer for it, like they have been making a lot of live-action anime adaptations. And while the trailer doesn't look bad, it's just one of the things that makes One Piece such a magical show that has been going on for so long is how crazy the world is. Seeing characters with super long noses, seeing characters stretch their arms, seeing characters literally turn into smoke or do these things that just are so hard to believe in reality. And if they're done in reality, live action, it's got to be done through some crazy ass visual effects. As much as I love One Piece, I watch this trailer and just go, why are we even doing this? Why is there even a need to make a live action One Piece? I'm not saying I have a problem with them doing it, but it's like, why even make another work of this property when it's already such a great property?
Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Cowboy Bebop is another masterpiece of an anime and a great gateway anime if you want to try to get people into it as just some space cowboys in the future, just, you know, going on adventures and stuff. Netflix made a live action adaptation of that and it reviewed fine, but it was also just kind of like, why not just watch the better version of it? Don't even get me started on Death Note. That is another one that is deemed as a masterpiece of an anime, and then you watch the live action version and it just is not. The thing that live action has, and probably one of the reasons they make this, is because one, it's more mainstream, but also it's more easier for anybody to relate to the character, to see a real life person going through something instead of somebody that's drawn or somebody that's 3D, and seeing like an actor that one might know going through something is just much easier for anybody to relate to instead of just those that are okay with animation. I admit, in terms of live action, comedy, romance, and drama are the 3 categories that I am almost always down to check out something live action, because that is very true to life. There isn't going to be any need for visual effects. There isn't going to be any need to make these bigger than life scope things because it's just a real life story. And that's what people go to live action for, is for these real stories, or fictional stories, mind you, but with real people in the situations that they can connect with those people. And that's why like comedy, drama, romance is the perfect categories for that. But it's also the safer option. There's a lot of folks that are just fearing of feeling like they are a child of watching animated things happen, because if it's not a real person, then you are potentially a child or immature for watching it.
I'm sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
And I'm not trying to badmouth you or anybody else that is really attached to live action. I still love live action. Breaking Bad's one of my favorite shows of all time. New Girl, Parks and Recreation are hilarious. I go down a long list of live action movies I love. It's still a great medium, but the thing that live action and animation have in common that should at the end of the day be all anybody cares about over how it looks and how it's done is the story being told. How is this story being told? What makes you tear up? What makes you laugh? What makes you invested in these characters? And what makes you attached to an overall picture of any kind is the story that it has to tell. And there are so many different ways of telling those stories. It's all about connection though, and a lot of people just have a hard time connecting with characters that aren't skin and blood, that they are drawn. Or maybe some, it's the other way around, where they can only believe in this fictional world because they are watching a fictional world created. Instead of actors portraying roles and stuff, they are actually watching this world physically manifest here and not being performed. It is simply created as this animation, that's what I mean. There's two different spectrums, but they are both telling stories, just in two different ways. To me personally, animation allows so much more possibility with storytelling, with a long list, and this is where Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse comes in. As a franchise that has had massive success with its live-action movies and made billions at the box office, and is a property that Sony Entertainment will never let go of, Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse not only made great money at the box office, but it made that money because of the great critical reception this movie got with its amazing storytelling. And the animation is the reason a lot of that exists. You get to see all these different Spider-Men from their own worlds that are colored and animated so differently than each other that just couldn't be done in live action. If it was done in live action, it would have felt like you were watching some weird Spy Kids situation, and it just wouldn't have been as believable. But this is a world and story that could only have been told through animation. It even had a live action counterpart that they tried to tell a similar story, but they couldn't go quite balls of the walls with it because they knew live action just has its limits. But in animation, you get to set the tone of certain scenes by changing the coloring. You get to see certain expressions that couldn't be done through actors. You get to see so many things that you couldn't get in live action. And anime fans want to be able to share this with the people that they love and or just enjoy being around. A brief story for me is A Silent Voice, a movie that is one of the most emotional movies I've ever seen about just how one deals with the love that they have for themselves and how much they believe that other people, actually care for them. It dives into emotional intelligence stuff that my sister chews up. She is all about learning about people and how to control our emotions and who we are. So when I was hanging out with her once, I kind of pitched the movie to her, but we watched A Marriage Story instead. There's just this feeling of helplessness that you can't share those kinds of worlds with the people you care about, and it has to be just the live action instead of one or the other. And there is hope that anime and animation in general is on the rise. When Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer have their finales, Crunchyroll, the biggest anime site there is, has their servers crash. The new Mario movie is the highest grossing movie of the year so far, and I think it's just gonna stay that way based on everything else that's coming out. And there's even talks, is this Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse movie gonna be nominated for Best Picture? But anime movies specifically are lucky enough to even get a Fathom event that gives them a limited 2 or 3 day release versus the usual month or two that traditional movies get. Society just isn't ready to believe in these animated worlds and characters as much as live action ones do. They want the actors and the real life icons to be able to watch and spectate and connect with. And as this goes on, One Piece, Avatar: Last Airbender, previously Death Note, Cowboy Bebop, we're gonna keep getting these live action adaptations for anime because it's not only gonna be made for the anime fans to just boost that market a little bit up, boost the viewership up a little bit on Netflix and everything, but it's also the only way that these IP will reach those people that don't want to really give anime much of a shot. Anime will probably always be a niche way of viewing things, or even just animation in general. I recently watched a show called Primal, and this is just, a Western animated show, and it was phenomenal. It's a silent piece. There's little to no dialogue in it whatsoever, and it is now up there and maybe one of my favorite shows of all time. As is Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse and its first movie, Into the Spiderverse, as maybe my two favorite Spider-Man movies of everything that they have done. These works and so many more just allowed me to believe its world through the means that just live action can't do. And so when I saw this One Piece live action trailer, it just made me think the same question that I had as I started the live action adaptation of my favorite anime of all time, Bleach, being, why would I watch this when there's the original source material that's probably leagues better? What I want to close on here is a message that you love animation, that's great. You love live action, that's great. But we can't force that love on other people. We could do what I'm doing here, which is share why do we love something so much, and hopefully have people that will listen to that and not be convinced, but just simply want to listen to you and why you love this. Because they get excited hearing about you being excited about something. And at the end of the day, we watch things to escape from our reality. Everyone has their own means of doing that. It's why I spend like 90% of my free time playing video games, because I get to control that experience of this world that I am actually seeing for myself. And whether a character is live, drawn, or controlled, it is still a character for you to experience the emotions that you can have connecting with someone. One of the most beautiful things about embracing fiction is that it can make us feel emotions that really remind us that we're still alive, that we're still human, and that we still care. And while a wider acceptance of animation would be great, we have to be happy with ourselves and the few people that love what we love. That's what counts at the end of the day, is just loving yourself and the things that make you do that. And maybe show this video to somebody that you want to open that discussion with, like, why do you enjoy live action more than animation? Or why do you enjoy animation more than live action? When you see an animated trailer or a live action trailer for One Piece, which one is the person more interested in? Anime to me has impacted me greatly. There's actual life lessons that I have taken from anime. One had to do with being the best self you can be, and the other one is about listening, which is what I was talking about in this vid. Dive into either of those topics more with these vids on screen, or leave a comment down below on your take with live action versus animation.